life. So we are live. So hello everyone. Welcome to our another live session. Me, myself, Aditi, and with me we have Dr. Milamitra. And together we're gonna be talking a lot about space careers. And I think this is one of the live which any students who are waiting for. Okay, all right. So let's get started. We do get lots of questions from you all, so we will be addressing those questions too as we go ahead. And just a second. So, okay. All right. So let's get started. But before we let's get started with understanding all about astronomy. What are the very interesting space careers that are present right now? And what will be the future of it? So let's get started. So we'll be moving to the first slide. Milam, can you move? Yes. So before we understand a little bit about space careers, let's understand what is actually astronomy. So everybody has heard this word, astronomy, and it's always a fascinating word. No, it makes you think about the stars, it makes you think about the universe, the galaxies. And if I take a literal meaning of astronomy, you can say astra means star and nomi means naming. So astronomy is just talking about the stars, looking at the stars, not only stars, but basically doing observational scientific studies about the universe and its content. It includes studying the black holes. It also includes your Earth itself. So Earth is also a part of astronomy. So everything which we see around us is a part of astronomy. And if we move forward and further understand about the importance of astronomy. So again, space science and astronomy both plays a very important role in our lives. They touch our lives daily. And it has been revolutionizing us and the science and the technology in the modern way. We have so many things coming up because of the space exploration. For example, we have filter water. We got it through the space exploration itself. So astronomy is considered as the mother of sciences. It's actually the mother itself. That includes physics, maths, geography, computing, engineering, biology, chemistry. So all these parts are the parts of astronomy, and it helps us understand the real world. If I give you example, the cameras which you use on your phone, we actually got that idea from space exploration. So space exploration, studying about astronomy, has given us tremendous technologies and has been helping us right now too. And it's great for students and for learning. You do hands-on, you get to use telescopes, get to use different softwares, you get to go outside, do field work, and increase your scientific temperament. And I will say it's pretty cool. Me studying, exploring astronomy for so long, it's so cool for me. And I believe that's the same for you guys. It's the coolest subject. All right, so that was all about astronomy. And it's not stopping. Sorry. The space exploration, the space growth, it's not stopping, and it is actually increasing threefolds, fourfolds. And we are seeing so much involvement of other agencies, especially private agencies, as well as government agencies that are putting their money, putting their energy into taking forward the space careers, taking forward the future of it. So there are a wide range of objectives. They are trying to do space exploration. They are trying to do space travelism. Like space tourism is coming up. We saw Elon Musk as well as Jeff going to space. So all these things are coming up, and there are advancements in technology. There are potentials for human settlement, especially on different planets. So so many things are coming up with astronomy, and it makes me curious, especially as well as I think it makes students curious too, that Dr. Milamitra, how the students can be part of this such an amazing space career? Can you just tell us a little bit about how students can be a part of it? How can they start their space career?
So yeah, good evening, everyone, and I hope you're really excited to be with us today. So yeah, I'm going to tell you now a little bit more about these kind of careers. Aditi ma'am has already told you why it's important, why the future is going to move towards space. So let's tell you a bit about some of the kind of careers that you can get into in these fields. So, what's the first one? I think everybody knows we are all part of such an association, astronomy. But before I come to that, I am so excited to launch our book on space careers called Discovering Space Careers from Earth to the Cosmos. Here, look, I have it here with me. Yeah, it's kind of shadowed. So I'm going to show you. Yeah, that is Discovering Space Careers. We are launching this book, and I'm going to come back at towards the end and tell you more about this book and how to get it. Now, in this book, we have put in a lot of different careers so you can find out more about how to get into different kinds of careers. Now, let me start with the first one, astronomer. I'm sure many of you have heard the word astronomer. I know I meet so many kids who say, I want to be an astronomer. So, what does an astronomer really do? Let's find out. Now, first, let me address this point. Many of you also say, I want to be an astronaut. So, let me help you distinguish between astronaut and astronomer. Now, astronomers are scientists who sit here on Earth. They are here on Earth in their labs, in their research areas, in their universities, and they are responsible for carrying out research. So they observe with telescopes, they do other things, but they do it from Earth. Astronauts actually go into space. They may not be doing research, but they are space travelers. Let me tell you more about each of them. Astronomer. Who is an astronomer? A scientist who tries to study space and our universe. And how do they do that? They observe celestial objects, conduct research, develop theories. Not only that, how are we getting, how are we observing further and further? How is JWST, James Webb Space Telescope, now able to see towards the Big Bang and so early on? How is there gravitational wave astronomy? It's because our instruments and technology itself are getting more and more advanced. So astronomers are also involved in this kind of technology development. And then astronomers also teach and research. So most of you might think that astronomers, telescopes. That's the picture you have, right? That astronomers use telescopes or they use cameras, but they have many tools that they work with. They might get observations through telescopes, even through ground-based telescopes and space telescopes. But they also have, so they're involved with space missions. They get the data and analyze them because you have to find out what's really happening in the data. Also, astronomers work with satellites and probes that go to other space exploration missions. So there are many tools used by astronomers. Now coming to astronaut. And this picture, by the way, is a picture from the book that we are releasing. So do keep in mind, it's a very exciting book. And, it's easy to understand each career in a with very nice illustrations. Okay, so astronaut. I just talked about astronauts, and astronauts stay on Earth and observe and do the research. Now, astronauts actually venture into space. So why do they venture into space? Because they're in space, we can study the effects of microgravity, or, in space, there's very less gravity. That is called microgravity. We can observe it, the effects of it on the human body. Astronauts can observe phenomena or do research in that kind of low gravity situation, and they can investigate phenomena that cannot be observed from Earth. So they are doing this mission of going into space and doing these kind of things. So they have different roles. Astronauts can be mission commander, they can be a pilot, they can be a mission specialist, a payload specialist, and of course, some of them do spacewalks. Now, astronauts have to be very physically fit. Many of them come from Air Force and flight experience, because you can't just send anybody into space. They have to be very well, extensively trained and have a lot of experience, and have a lot of flight experience too. So what are the kind of tasks they do? Like I said, they run missions, they do space, they operate the spacecraft, they do spacewalks, and they do research in the space stations or the other crewed missions. I'll also talk about another profession that many of you know about. These professions are well known, and many of our students go into these professions. Aerospace engineer. Of course, when you think you're going to go into space exploration or space careers from the engineering pathway, then you think of aerospace engineer. So what does an aerospace engineer do? Let's see. Aerospace engineers do work with the design and development of things that directly relate to space, such as aircraft, spacecraft, satellites, and things like that. So they apply the physics and engineering to improve these aerospace technologies. Major tasks are design and development of such technologies, research and analysis, developing prototypes, because you're always trying to make them more and better. You want the spacecraft to be able to face challenges. You want them to go further out, have better communications. And aerospace engineers also do monitoring and maintenance of these systems. And they have to stay updated with new technology. So yes, so now I've told you what are the most well-known space careers, and those are astronomer, astronaut, and aerospace engineer. So I hope you have some idea now of what these kind of pathways are. You can be these kind of, you can get into those kind of careers.
Yeah, that was great, ma'am.
Okay, so now, I just said that you have to have, astronomy backgrounds or aerospace backgrounds to go into these. But is there a way that you can go into space careers even if you come from other backgrounds, such as geography or biology? Aditi, ma'am, can you take this ahead and tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, definitely. So that was quite interesting that we got to know about those things. And let's see that whether the space can be an interdisciplinary for us or not. Like if, for example, I myself is not a physics person. I have a science background in the sense I have a biology background, but still I'm sitting here talking to all of you, talking about space careers. So if I talk about your space subjects, like you might have your favorite subject as biology or maths or geography, and some of you might like designs or information technology, which is actually something which is growing a lot, and even arts. So all these are quite different from each other. But if I tell you, do you think these can be also part of space career? Well, the answer for this question is yes. We can actually link these basic core subjects too with our space career. If I take an example of, let's take an example of biology. If biology is like study of human anatomy, study of plants, study of animals, but this core subject, biology, can also be related with space. We have careers for which comes out of biology for space, like space doctors, like a medical doctor or a food engineer that is there. Also astrobiologists. These all three fields falls in have, you can say they have both. They have biology as well as they have space. So not only biology, even you have geography, you have arts, you have designing, which falls into the which do falls into the concept of space. And they can, if you are under those fields, you can still pursue a career in space. You don't have to limit yourself saying that, oh, I have this field, I can't go to space. You can always branch out and go to your favorite space career field, whichever you know. So if I show you further more examples, so let's take example of a space medical doctor. So a space medical doctor, if we talk about, is a specialized doctor who take care of astronauts. So let's see another image where we can see an astronaut, a space doctor who is on ISS, and who is looking, he is actually holding an ultrasound machine in his hand and he's scanning the eyes of another astronaut. So this is what a space doctor can do. So they actually safeguard the health and well-being of an astronaut. And they have amazing responsibilities. They actually conduct thorough flight, or before going for flights, like astronauts, they go for launches, they go for missions. So doctors or the space medical doctors have to make sure that they are, they are perfectly fit, they are perfectly fine to go further for the missions. They also developed medical protocols that the astronauts have to follow when they are going a particular mission, and they continuously monitor the health of astronauts throughout the mission, because that's their core point, that they have to make sure that the astronauts are exercising, they do not have any complications when they are doing the missions. So that's what a doctor needs to do. Okay? And not only that, if there do comes an emergency for medical, they can also talk about, they can also prepare themselves. So they also collaborate with other professions so that they can see what all can be done for medical. And this was all about a space doctor. So let's see another examples which we have for you, and that is a space food engineer. Again, for this, you don't have to be core, physics and chemistry. You can go from food industry too. So a food engineer can come from food industry too. So what they do is they design, develop, and create food products that actually are suitable for astronauts. Because when they go to ISS, they can't actually eat what we eat. So they take dried foods with them. They freeze dried. So who prepares them? The food engineers. They test them. They have the scientific testing going on. So all these things they do. So they overcome unique challenges. They create innovative food processing techniques. They collaborate with nutrition, food scientists, as well as astronauts. They look for safe food safeties, and they do a lot of research to understand how they can make food better, because long back the food was very bland and it was very same. So now the food engineers are actually doing something new so that astronauts can have something. Recently they also had a pizza party. Astronauts had a pizza party in ISS. So how they got it? So a very important role comes from the space, your food engineer that does that. All right. So with that, let's see another example. We have very unique example now is a space lawyer. Imagine a law and space. They all so different. But the space lawyer mix one and make a lawyer, a person who actually study law regarding space, because law is very important, discipline is very, very important. So whatever legal aspects are there with respect to space activities, space exploration, a space lawyer works on it. All right, like they have to understand and apply the international space treaties, agreements, because a lot of countries are involved here. It's not a single country is working on a particular space component like moon. There are many countries. So for example, it's like when Chandrayaan went, so people thought now we own moon, right? But it's not the case. The moon cannot be owned by any country. That's a treaty. That's a national. That's a policy which every country follows. So the space law also advised the governments, space agencies, private companies about the legal issues. And it's actually a lawyer who has the concept of working with respect to space and how you can make new laws for the space as well as new and different policies. And I guess this is not the only thing. There are many more space careers. If we go ahead, you'll see that there are many more space careers that are coming up. All right. All right. So, and along with these many more careers, as we saw, there are new technologies also coming up. We have AI, we have computing, we have so many things are coming up. So, Dr. Mila Mitra, I want to know that with space technologies that we are seeing coming up day by day, what kind of space careers do you foresee that might come up in the next 10 years? Like, are we still going further for the space future? Like, we might have new careers, or is it the limit, we have reached the limit now?
So yeah, the interesting thing is that now we have to predict new careers that may come up in 10 years or 20 years that don't even exist yet. Yeah. So how do we project that? We think of new fields that are coming up. So let me talk about a few of such fields. Okay, space debris or space junk is like a big thing nowadays. What is space junk? Objects, basically our space is getting crowded now. We need satellites, we need broadband, we need communication satellites, we need navigation satellites. What does that mean? It means there's loads of satellites up in space. They can be not just satellites, they're satellites that the lifetime is over. They're called defunct satellites. And there are also even little specks of particles ranging from paint chips to rocket stages. Now, these are a major problem because they can collide. Basically, they can cause a traffic jam, and even a small collision can create a lot of damage. So this is called space debris. And I'll share a small video. You can see how the number of satellites increased from 1965 to it's actually majorly increasing. So how do we decrease this kind of debris? There are some different ways. You decrease the orbit of a satellite so it can get burnt up in Earth's atmosphere. There are many techniques to pull them down. And I've just shown a few fun pictures. You can use robotic arms. You can use nets and big particles, big, parts of satellites, but you cannot deal with the small satellites that way. You cannot deal with the small fragments, but yes, you can remove this. So now this is a very active problem, space debris and space junk. So it's going to keep on growing. So hopefully many of you can get involved in this kind of a field. Now, space tourism, Aditi ma'am mentioned that. Space tourism has just started, but already you've seen such great examples of it. Space tourism is going to space by people who are not professional astronauts. So they do some basic training and they're able to go. And we've already had Blue Origin and SpaceX, and leaders have gone like Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson. And even now, so there have been many, but it's still not open to the civilians so much. So currently there are two types of space tourism. One is suborbital, which means a mission goes to the Kármán line, which is where space starts, and back. It just goes up and down. Okay, so you can just claim, I reached space. Then there are orbital missions where you orbit around Earth and you may spend up to a week orbiting Earth. So these are the kind of things that are happening now, but it's going to grow a lot. By 2030, it's expected to grow a lot. And eventually we are going to see space hotels. We're going to see space bases on the moon where people like you and me who are interested in space are going to go on vacation. So keep in mind, space tourism, it's already growing. So there will be careers in that field. Now I'm coming to space mining. again, this is a very new technology. So, asteroids, you've all heard of asteroids, they're very rich in minerals. So, now scientists are considering asteroid mining or even lunar mining for, can they become new sources for materials that we can use, or maybe humans that live in these space colonies can use? So, right now, this hasn't started really, but missions are going to the asteroid to see the composition and bring back samples. So, it is at that point now. So with that, I have mentioned a few careers, but the point I want to make is as new things happen, new technologies come up, there are more and more new STEM careers are going to come up that don't exist yet. Some of them are in space, and there are in other things too. For example, here I have the space tourism guide. Also, a virtual teacher is now reality, but there are now more and more drones here. We have space junk I talked to you about. So somebody who actually actively goes and helps recycling space junk. Then climate change is a big thing. So maybe there are people who do reversal, climate change reversal specialist, and so on. So these kind of careers are things you can keep in mind because they're going to grow. The technologies are just starting. So with that, I hope you've got the point that space sciences are now very interdisciplinary. You no longer have to be a rocket scientist. You can go into astrobiology, astrochemistry, planetary science, which overlaps with geology and earth science. You can do even space archaeology. Now there are space architecture, architects who worry about habitats in different colonies. There's archaeoastronomy, how astronomy worked in the ancient past. There's astroanthropology. So, with that, I hope you all get the idea of how interdisciplinary this field is now becoming, and you can come in from any pathway into this.
Wow, that was quite interesting. Had I known all this, I would have tried doing space tourism or minor. That would have been fun for me.
Yeah, and you can still do it because that's going
Yeah.
to come up in the next 10 years. So let's
Yeah,
all.
I'll have to get a lot of money, especially
Right,
for space tourism now. Yeah, that
right.
was quite interesting. But my case is gone. But I want to know that I think the students also want to know that if they want to pursue any of the space career, what is the path they should follow? Like, what should be their path from starting from the college? What should they do? Can you just enlighten us about the same thing too?
Yeah, so I know a lot of our students who have joined today have that very thought in mind that
Yeah.
they're in middle school, they're going to go into high school. What can they do now? So let me give you a brief idea. Of course, this is an extended topic. Let me give you a brief idea. So, of course, STEM, as you know, science, technology, engineering, math, are very important to the study of space. And these are the kind of subjects that definitely you should stay and get some experience in. Physics, math, chemistry, engineering, geography, atmospheric science, computing. And so keep your hands in this and build up that experience. And do get some project or extracurricular experience in things like astronomy. Most schools don't have astronomy, but you do have access to astronomy with people like us. And, even amateur astronomers get a telescope, learn the night sky, get into robotics and tinkering, definitely get into computing because it's important for any STEM. You can get into aeronautics. Nowadays, rockets and drones are very popular. You can get involved with that and design thinking. Additionally, what else can you do? Build up your experience, get certificates, do things like STEM workshops, participate in science fairs, take part in Olympiads, and also nowadays STEM is including encouraging a creative side. So do get involved in things like modeling, even art, and a lot of people are even expressing space astronomy through music and art. So enhance your creative side. So what kind of pathway would you do to get into this kind of careers? So most of you are in school, in middle school, yes, you will do general science and math and all. But in high school, do get more focused on science, math, computers, STEM and robotics, and all that. Like I said, Aditi, I'm just in a second. I'm coming. Just address the
Yeah.
second one.
Yes, all right. So basically, as Vila ma'am was telling about for high school, we have these things, and when you are in colleges, you can always opt for a bachelor's in science or bachelor's in technology. Like most of the students do offer engineering through BTech, but BSc is also can work for you. So you can have majors in your pure sciences like your physics, maths, and chemistry, and further moving to you can have engineering through BTech, that is aerospace, aeronauticals, or mechanical. And the timeline for this, most of the BTechs are of 4 years, but if you are doing bachelor's in science, it's approximately 3 years and you can have your bachelor's degree. Yeah, so continue, ma'am.
So yeah, following that, and yes, of course, bachelor's keeps changing even in India. Now it may become 4 years, but
Yeah.
4 to 5 years, and then you can go to grad. Mostly in this field, you mostly have to do an advanced degree. So you can't just get jobs with just a BSc or a BTech. You can maybe get jobs in aerospace engineering with BTech, but mostly to go into astronomy or space sciences, you have to have at least a master's and maybe a PhD. Okay, so master's is another 2 years of work, and PhD could be 4 to 6 years, where you have to have a research idea and build on it. Okay, so it is a long pathway, but it is exciting. And again, summarizing it here, you are going to do a BSc or BTech, followed by an MTech, and then a PhD. And following a PhD, you would do postdoc research. Now, I'll just come to the lower part. You can see that in India, there are a lot of organizations, institutes where you can do it at the master's or PhD level. There are very besides, I mean, during the bachelor's level in India, you have to just do physics or engineering. Okay, so let me mention a few institutes that are good to follow this career path. ISER, now there are several ISERs, ISER Pune, Bhopal, Trivandrum. So you can go to the ISER, which is Indian Institute for Science and Education Research. And they also have an integrated master's. So in 5 years, you can come out with a master's. Then there is the IIST, Indian Institute of Space Technology, that's directly related to ISRO. So you can get into that. And, if you get into that, ISRO actually does absorb a lot of people from there. Then there's the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, again, and IUCA, Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. And these are, please keep these names in mind, because as you get in after your undergraduate or after your 12, these are the kind of places you should look into. Here's my advice for STEM careers. What you do now, investigate, invent and innovate, pick up things, play with them, try to make things. And, these fields, you have to be very hardworking. You have to read, get your hands and read everything you can. Now, don't think that a certain type of person only can do STEM. Nowadays, anybody can do STEM. Okay, they're not all rocket scientists and astronauts. You can even be a design person, you can be a software person, and still you can get into space careers. So with that, again, I'm going to, now that we've talked about different kind of careers and how to get into them, and interdisciplinary careers and future careers, again, I'm going to talk about the book we are launching. And the book again is called Discovering Space Careers and In that book, you'll find different fields listed on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, you'll have listed what that career person does, what did they study, and what tools do they use. So you'll get a nice viewpoint about what kind of topics you need to pursue those kind of fields. Okay, so again, here's the book. And how do you get your hands on the book? It is, you'll get this comic book free. What you do, you just, there might be a courier charge involved, that's all. So what you do is copy this link and you can go and do the quiz. It's an easy quiz. It's just really to see what your interests are. And there's no really winning or losing in the quiz. But if you participate, you can get your hands on this comic book for free just by paying a courier charge. So we're very excited about this book because many of the topics we talked about today, many of the professions can be found in this book, and you can further see what you have to study to go into that profession and what does that profession really do. So again, this is Discovering Space Careers, and STEM&Space is launching this book right now. And here are some more pictures from the book of the kind of topics we just mentioned. So you can get the book to find out further what each of these professions do or what we project they may be going to do in the future.
Okay, so that looks quite interesting, and I think that this book is also is a gem for the students, especially for beginners. And even my niece was, so happy to receive this book. She got to see that yes, she has so many options. So I guess all of you also go to the link, grab your free copies. You just have to do a small quiz, and there is option of if you don't want to do the quiz, just go and buy the book. Just have to pay the courier charges after doing the quiz, and you will also get a certificate for doing the quiz. So go ahead, join the link, get your books, get your hands in the book, and know all about the safe space careers. And I also want to share that many students actually shared their questions with us. So just to let you all know that today we will be only discussing about the space career questions, and the other questions which other students have asked, we might take them in another live session, or we can also get some of the answers through our channel, this Cosmic Kids Club. If you go through there, you have the comics and video sections that can actually answer a lot of questions for you. Okay, so let me just, Milam, I want to share some of the questions that students have asked because they were really amazing questions. So one question that actually comes out from the questions which we have got was that what steps should one take to become an astronomer or an astrophysicist? If I call out the names of the students like Ganga, Anidhi, Sehaj, Abrito, Jason, Neha, Pranshu, and many more actually ask this specific question as to what they can do to be an astronomer or an astrophysicist. So if you can just enlighten us about the same too.
So as I mentioned, of course, astronomer is one of the most popular professions in this field, and the pathway is more direct. So at school, you have to do STEM or computing, earth sciences, all the things I mentioned before, rocketry, and but do keep your STEM subjects intact. Don't give it up because you will need them till high school. Then you can do a BSc in physics. Mostly people do it in physics, but you can attempt it from math, and or you can parallelly, instead of BSc, you can do a BTech in most of the engineering. Like I said, mostly you will have to do an MSc and maybe a PhD. And so, or the fields you do it in, those are the more specialized fields. That's when you will go into astronomy, astrophysics, or space physics. And yes, keep in mind that, keep your computing, observing, data analysis, tinkering, and keep on doing projects.
Okay. So I hope that answers your question as to how you can become an astronomer or an astrophysicist. And again, I'll say even Neha, Bhavna, they also asked the same question. So I hope this answers your query regarding being an astronaut. So another very interesting question that we got from the students were, let me just see, yeah. So numerous students are actually motivated to actually pursue a career at ISRO, that is our own space agency, and they actually want to know what step should they follow so that they can enter the organization. So Vedant, Kaira, Hridan are and many more are the one who are very curious to know what to do, how to get into ISRO. So let us know how we can get into ISRO.
Yeah, so a lot of students ask this question about ISRO, and of course, they also ask this question about NASA. But since NASA is in a different country, it's got many more points to it. So let me discuss the ISRO. Uh, as a student, the ISRO website, which I have mentioned below, isro.gov.in, there's a students link called students.html. And through this link, you'll find some of the things I've mentioned here, which is that there's an ISRO STEM portal. So they have some STEM activities there. They have Yuvika, which is a camp or a special project for grade 9 women or girls in STEM. So please, if you're in ninth or in eighth, do look and apply for that. There's a Bhuvan link. Now, Bhuvan enables students to access some data that is in Earth measuring. So you can look at Earth, you can learn a little bit about remote sensing and satellites. So those are links to visit. Then there are facility visits. If you're in any city or you're visiting any city that there is an ISRO, some of the ISRO centers let you visit the facility, and some of them offer workshops. Now, additionally, now some organizations such as STEM&Space, which we are with, are now ISRO registered space tutors. So ISRO has worked out this partnership with some of us so that we can take forward workshops and educate students about astronomy. So this is how, as a student, you can get involved with ISRO. Now, how do you join positions in ISRO? That will, of course, come much later, only after BTech. So after you can do a BTech in computer science and engineering. You can also look for internships while you're in BTech. ISRO does offer internships, so do keep a lookout. Now, the Indian Institute of Space Technology, IIST, you can apply there for a BTech or master's, and that is directly related to ISRO, and they will pick up a lot of people from there. And but it is tough to get into. You do have to give the JEE or the ICER exams to get into that. So I hope that gives so I advise you just get into this link that I have here as a student and keep following some of the tabs, because they keep updating it and saying there may be a workshop or things like that. But one disclaimer is that many of their workshops are only for high schools or college level students.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving such an insight into understanding how to enter ISRO. I think be getting in ISRO, doing their workshops, doing the internship is another motivation for us to keep on pursuing our dreams of becoming something amazing in space career, like an astronaut, astronomer, or astrophysicist. Now, with going on to our last question, again, this was asked by many students as to with advancements, emerging technologies are coming up very fast. So, what is the impact of these new technologies that are coming up in the future, especially if we talk about AI or your computing facilities? So, what are their impacts? And if I call out their names like Saisha, Rudra, Sian, Vedant, and many more students are the one who ask these questions regarding the emerging fields.
So yeah, as you know, uh, because other technologies are expanding, such as AI, as you mentioned, and robotics, then space technology itself is also going to expand and use some of these technologies. Okay, so here are some emerging fields. Now, propulsion systems. Now, our rockets are trying to go out further beyond the solar system. Okay, and also we are worrying about space debris. So we need reusable rockets, and one of the reusable rockets is going to be tested very soon. And Sunita Williams, our own astronaut, Sunita Williams, is going to be part of that mission. Uh, it was actually scheduled for launch next week, but it's been rescheduled. Now, other propulsion systems are being considered, like nuclear thermal propulsion. Now, coming to robotics, robotics plays a lot of role in space exploration because you can't always send humans to space. Uh, Earlier, you could send animals, but now you can send robots. You can send rovers, which themselves are robots. Uh, so robotics can, test out missions before astronauts actually go or gather samples and bring back information. Now, satellite mega constellations, there are more and more satellites like SpaceX that are sending multiple satellites to cover more areas for broadband and so on. So that's coming up. Artificial intelligence, and that is the question some of you asked. AI, because now we see AI is growing so much. Uh, Now, how can we use that in space research? It's already now being used in things like, uh, automatically equipping our satellites to launch, to land. So AI even when Chandrayaan 3 landed, AI was used to see what is the terrain that you're going to land on and directly feed the information and change your location a little bit accordingly. So it is being used for landing and so on. Additionally, it's also being starting to be used because there's so much data now coming from space satellites that AI is being used to analyze this data and find patterns that could be meaningful. Now, the other things that are going to happen are space habitats, uh, the kind of material to be used, that will bring in space architecture. It will also bring in things that I have on the right, like in situ resource use, like how do you create oxygen from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? How do you grow plants without soil? So how do you go to a location and figure out how to, use the resources available there? Now, quantum technology is a new buzzword. Again, that will be used in very accurate navigation and very accurate communications, these kind of purposes. So these are some of the emerging fields, and these are now buzzwords, but they're all being implemented. So hopefully, every year we'll see a lot more, usage of these kind of things.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that actually is true. I think AI, everyone is hearing the word AI, 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 I could say. So these are something that are coming up to. Yes, so I think these are the some of the major questions that students ask. So moving on, we also have something special for all of you to see. We have another yes, so we have a very interesting platform, and ma'am, just give us a glimpse of the platform to us quickly so that you can also see what our platform is and how you can enjoy this platform.
So I'm very happy to again introduce you to Cosmic Kids Club. If you've enjoyed this talk and you want to be a part of this space exploration, then do join our Cosmic Kids Club. CosmicKids.club is the URL, and there are free memberships you can start off with, and there are premium memberships too. So, what do you get in this club? You can see there are many things, and it's at your own pace. You can come in and join at your own pace. There's a learn section, and there's a yeah
Library we have.
this is a
Yeah.
library section, yeah, that I'm showing actually. And so there are comics, lot of comics, and there are a lot of videos that you can watch. So for example, there's a space conversation between two telescopes, And if you click on it, you see a comic opens up, and you can find out a lot about JWST and Hubble through this comic. Then there's a section called challenges. Right now, we have a challenge open, which is exactly talking about this space careers. And it gives you the chance to write or draw about your space career. What kind of profession do you want to be in? Or make a video about what kind of profession you want to be in. Now, there's also Discovery Back. Every month, there's a new theme, and we'll take your questions and it will be answered live. And the question this month is, how do you grow foods in different planets, like on the lunar surface or on Mars? Yes, so this is our Cosmic Kids Club, and there's a leaderboard, and you can have an avatar and win stars. You can even get certificates if you finish some of the modules. So I hope with that, Aditi, would you like to add something?
I think that was such an amazing session and had such a amazing insight regarding all about the careers, how they can pursue it. And I really like this GIF that you have added, Ram. This is really
Right.
cute.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cute. And do join us.
Yes.
Let me remind you of two things at the end. How do you get the Space Careers comic? You can do the quiz and get it free through this link. And how do you join the Cosmic Kids Club? And we look forward to many of you joining us. We'll be doing webinars like this regularly. CosmicKids.club. Do join us, and you can read the comics. You can be part of do-it-yourself sessions that we conduct, and you can watch videos. So with that, thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Aditi for joining with me to bring all these careers to the kids. And I hope many of you find a pathway to get into these kind of careers. So thank you, students, for joining, and stay curious.
Thank you, everyone. So we'll meet again. So we keep following the Cosmic Kids Club, because we are coming up with another live, and that is a Kahoot live. So I'm just giving a surprise. I'm trying to keep it a surprise, but it's just for all of you. Just keep logging in. And one more thing I want to say, that if you go through quiz, get your book, you will also get a surprise bonus for Cosmic Kids Club. So keep exploring, keep enjoying. So we'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Mila ma'am, for joining with us, for giving such an insight about the space careers. Thank you. Okay, so one of the student has asked that you will receive your career book. Don't worry, you will receive it. We have your addresses. We'll be sharing your career books. Those who all have orders, and others also, I request you to keep ordering your space career book. You just have to give courier charges. That's it. All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Just end there.